thing. And the channel is live, I think. Uh,
Mhm.
it says live. I'm not seeing anything on my little preview. Should be good. There
It's
we
live.
go. It's live. Hello, everyone. And welcome to Adventure on so many levels. We're going to play some Dungeons and Dragons.
Dungeons and
Woo!
Dragons.
Excellent. Indeed.
I am Christiana Ellis, and I am the Dungeon Master. Our players tonight, Jenny Meltzer as Zaylene,
Hey guys.
Starla Hatchton as Carolina Swift,
Hello, friends.
Paul Fisher as Zinhorn Windborn,
Greetings and salutations.
Mark Kilfoyle as Nedry Shiny Rock,
Some questions are best left theoretical, like what would happen if I actually fell off this rock?
and last but not least, Chu Schubert as Sequential.
Diagnostic mode. Diagnostic. I didn't
Yes.
actually. Hello.
So, when last we left the Pocket Protectors, they were journeying to the mountain workshop of Sequential's creator, a gnome named Gregholm, who may have some kind of connection to this broader mystery that you're all trying to solve. The clue to that link being a mysterious cipher used both in Gregholm's own notes and in a notebook that you found at the Reclaimer's mansion. And so you decided, a lot of people following you currently, so maybe you zig instead of zag, go to this workshop instead of to Emersham. On your way, though, Sequential, your Warforged friend, had some sort of a malfunction and is now non-responsive, displaying only a message that says, diagnostic mode, please connect to main terminal. Now, it's probably a good thing that you're theoretically on the way to probably where that main terminal might be. So you arrived at this mountaintop observatory. You found it currently occupied, at least the top of this observatory, by an enormous nest complete with eggs. There was a cave below occupied by yetis. You tried to make your way in stealthily, but this nightmare bird creature attacked. You made it inside by the skin of your teeth, and those three big Imperial airships are looming in the distance. Might be some sort of interaction with that in the nightmare bird creature, perhaps. We'll have to see. But in the meantime, that is where we left everybody off. So how about I bring everybody to the map? And I'm just realizing now that I set everything up on the main screen, but not on the map screen. So let me get that briefly, get that set up here. Okay. And I think I have everybody in slightly wrong positions, but it's fine because I can just move everyone around like this. See? Let's see. Oh, I've got double Zaline labels. But so let me let you all here on Roll20 see this map. As you enter this ground floor of the observatory, I hasten to add that while you seem to have passed through a doorway too small for this bird creature to follow you, it is still very much out there and angry, so you're not, completely out of the woods exactly. But you have entered this building. You see it's a round a round opening. You see that there is a wooden door on the western side. There are spiral stairs that go upward to your right, And downward to your left, there are various control panels and everything. There's various pipes and all sorts of mysterious gizmos, and you can look up through the floor of the next level has big openings in it, so you can look up through those openings to see the telescope below, where it extends out through the roof. That opening, of course, also being cluttered with Nightmare Rock nest parts. Also, there seems to be some sort of a bat guano-like material all over the floor in various places. The place seems unoccupied and kind of a mess. So, pocket protectors, what would you like to do?
I think I would like to prestidigitate my way over to this door that's over here, so I'm not stepping in poo.
Okay.
And clear a path on the floor.
So yeah, I mean the poo can be more or less avoided if you're careful and paying attention where you step.
Maybe we should close the door.
Yeah. So
I
yeah,
did.
at this point, a squawk, and the door thumps, and you're hearing this the frustration of this bird from the outside. But this is a fairly sturdily constructed building, as you saw from outside. So you think you might be
can
okay
I-
for the moment.
Can I create the sound again, like away from us outside?
I think with prestidigitation, you need to see where you're targeting.
It's minor illusion.
Okay. Sure. Why not?
Okay.
To the range that will.
Yeah,
that will
it's
function.
30 feet.
Mhm.
So I will just do it like off to the opposite side of the tower
Mhm.
from where I had left it before we came in,
Okay.
so that the sounds over there.
All right. There at the very least there is a brief the clawing on the door seems to cease for the moment. You've got an angry bird thing out there, but it's confused by what happened here. It doesn't seem terribly smart.
While we have a moment, I want to look around and see if I can find anything that looks like it might be sequential shaped and or labeled main terminal.
So you do see lots of different control panels. Perhaps an investigation check would help you to investigate those things a bit more.
Okay.
How does Nedry look right now after that
After
mess outside?
there's some scariness with the giant monster.
18.
That's pretty good. How do you look, Nedry?
I think that while he probably looks quite the mess, he's also just completely taken by the whole new place to explore. So he's kind of ignoring all of that. His hair's probably askew. His jacket's got some blood spots in it where he was grabbed.
Didn't
but it's
we
just
heal you?
Yeah, you did, but he's
Okay,
still
yeah.
quite hurt.
Mm.
And kind of looking with the head on a swivel at this point, kind of ignoring everything. Actually,
Yeah.
book probably open, propped up a bit so we can take notes.
Sure. Yeah, you healed him up from being unconscious. So
Yeah.
yeah, he's better than that. But so I think with your investigation, Zinhorn, I think you quickly survey the various mechanisms here in this room and determine that there doesn't seem to be anything that would have that looks like has any sort of a connection port to it. There's lots of control panels with various dials and displays and knobs and buttons and such, but nothing that looks like it has a port or anywhere for sequential to connect to. Your best guess would be that most of these controls are going to be things like based on knowing that this is an observatory with a big roof and everything, you would suspect that a lot of this seems to have to do with moving and aiming the telescope, probably controlling the roof. But there also seems to be a control panel that it is about like power allocation, like transmitting power from somewhere and directing it to somewhere, and controls associated with that. You would need to look at those more specifically, but you glance at that central panel that's around the center pillar, and that's what that one looks like it's about. And the others are more to do with controlling the telescope.
Okay.
Does this stuff look like it's on? Like, are there lights coming from it, or is it just
There
dark?
are small continual flame type lights in here, so the whole room is dimly lit. Nothing has responded to your presence. There are some low-level lights coming from some of these control panels, like they do seem to have power.
That's what I was curious about.
Yeah.
And is that thing in the center kind of a glowing floor, or is that just paint?
It has a low-level glow to it, but it seems primarily just like, it's just room lighting in nature. It doesn't seem to represent anything other than that.
Okay. I wonder what he was looking for.
I'm gonna wave Zaleen over to where I'm standing. Come here. Is this open or closed? Can I see inside?
The door is closed, so you cannot see inside.
I'll
But
meander over,
it's
but
a
I'm not going to be happy about it.
Okay.
I'm still angry that she went up there without us and we thought she was dead. So
Yeah. So you have what looks like a fairly rudimentary wooden door that does not match the architecture of this place. And you see that it looks like it has been added on to the rest of this place at a later time.
does it seem magical?
The door? No, it looks like a wooden door.
Okay.
But as mentioned, it does not match the rest. But you saw from outside that there was a weird little, much simpler construction wooden addition on that side of the building.
Do you think somebody's in there?
I mean, you could knock and see. Or I could, or we could just open the door. I mean, we did kind of just barge in here, so.
Oh, well, it's always best to be polite. So I'm gonna knock on the door.
Okay. You do that. Knock, knock, knock. There's no answer.
Any answer?
Mm-mm.
So I'll kind of glance at Zaleen and then open the door.
It is locked.
Hmm.
You could use your spell.
Could.
It looks like it just has a keyhole.
I don't have lockpicks. Does anybody have lockpicks?
I think Sequential did.
I could go into the tower and pick his pocket and get the.
I don't know if he really has pockets. I mean, he could have pockets, but I think part of them are just built into him.
What if I had to reach
Yum.
into his mouth and get it out of the stomach? That'd be weird.
Here, that's actually a fun question. Sequential, you certainly do have thieves' tools, but where
Right.
would they be on you? Like, where do you keep them? Would you have them in a pouch like a mundane person, or are they actually like built into you in some way?
I think
Like
the
a
tools are like regular tools,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, nothing integrated, so they'd be in the backpack.
Okay.
Hmm.
I mean, you could use the knock spell, or we could go in and try to find Sequential's lockpick.
Well, it doesn't look very sturdy.
Yeah,
How
I think.
strong is Zinhorn?
Well, I think Evan kind of like comes up and he's looking at it too, and he's like, "Well, I mean, I don't know how worried we are about who might still be or live here, but like that doesn't look like much of a door to me.
You want to give it a shot?
Sure.
You're really strong, and I'm gonna cast that one spell on him. Guidance.
Oh yeah, like that one spell. Yeah, I know that one.
Yeah, guidance.
Sure. Yeah, here, let me help if I had his stats ready. You know what? I think one of these days I'm going to just officially make you all responsible for his roles. But because we didn't decide on that in advance, let me just pull that up. He's going to roll the d20. Oh, okay. Yeah. So without even looking up his proper stats, he rolled a 19 on the die, and he is, he's not the strongest, but 19 is enough. He kicks down the door, and it sort of slams open, and revealed is a small little apartment with kind of homey furniture, gnome-sized. It has a bed, a desk, a stove, a dresser. There's some dishes. Like in the image here on the map, it shows like food actually in the skillet. That's not really there. It's cleaned up. There's nothing like out in that way. On the desk, there seems to be a journal. There's a little bathroom. I think at a glance, you would guess that nobody's slept in this or really done anything in this apartment for a while, at least. Months. In that, in a general sense. You could investigate further to know more, perhaps, but it's dusty and untouched.
I'm going to investigate further.
Yeah, I'm gonna check it out.
Okay.
Going in.
Well, what are you trying to determine as you investigate further?
I want what's in the journal.
Okay. The journal.
I was gonna do that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm less inclined to do that, so I'll just poke around in other stuff.
Sure. The journal appears to be written in another language. Do any of you, perchance, speak Dwarvish? Or not Dwarvish,
Actually.
excuse me, Gnomish. Excuse me, Gnomish. Oh, and Nedry probably speaks Gnomish, huh?
Yep. He's over investigating whatever his controls are, but
Okay, yeah.
I could cast comprehend languages.
So yeah, you believe that this journal is written in Gnomish. Speaking of which, Nedry is over there examining controls and so on.
yep, trying to figure what it's supposed to do or what it means
Okay.
or what he was looking for.
Go ahead and make an investigation check of your own.
Wow, that's really bad. 10.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. I think you get approximately the same information that that Zinhorn kind of concluded earlier, which is that these controls seem primarily focused on operation mechanically of this telescope, moving it around, focusing it, and that sort of thing. There's also what appear to be there's what's obviously a star chart, but then there's also a bunch of different like trace paper layers that seem like they can go over it, but they depict things that you're not sure what they are. Like it's designed to trace over the star chart, showing things that seem just like incomprehensible patterns to you.
Okay. He's probably pretty fascinated, but not understanding.
Yeah. Okay. So what else? So you have the journal, but it's written in Gnomish in this little apartment. As mentioned, it seems like, it's where a gnome might do his primary, living activities if he had been there. But
Are there like little cups and bowls and stuff?
but
I will,
not
will
a ton
pick
of
them up
dishes.
and definitely like squee over them. Like they're so
Oh.
cute.
Are there pictures in the journal?
Here and there, as you flip through them, there's occasional little like quick sketches, but they're not very. They look kind of oddly sloppy compared to the handwriting.
Anything that looks remotely like sequential?
No.
Okay.
I think what you notice, though, like without having the ability to read the actual text yet, you do notice that it was left open on a page that seems to be the last entry, but not. It's sort of doubly the last entry because it's for one, it's the last page that had been written on, but it's also clearly got one entry that was made and then another single sentence written below it much later, but then that's still the last page that anything was written on. So someone added a line to the last entry later than the rest of it was written.
I mean,
I
I
hope-
can cast comprehend languages as a ritual, so but that'd take 10 minutes.
You also have a gnome in your party.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, why
But he
would you
just
mad?
goes off doing stuff. I
It's
don't
because-
know that it's gnomish. It's just a different language.
But yeah, if you
The,
want to just generally check this this whole room, you can also make a general investigation check.
I have an idea. Nedry, book.
What
I-
is a book?
I bring it out to him.
Okay.
Oh, hey, that looks neat. What quality is the book? Is it like a high quality journal? Just a slapdash thing?
It doesn't
Personalized?
look like something that would ever be like it like preserved or anything like that. It looks just like a personal journal where someone would just keep their own personal notes. But as you start to flip through it, it becomes obvious very quickly that it is in fact a dream journal where this person was keeping a note of their dreams.
Weird. It's like every time they woke up, they wrote down their dreams. I guess trying to make sense of them, or maybe just trying to make use of that terrible sleeping time.
Are they nightmare dreams?
Given what we're dealing with, I mean,
Yeah. As you kind of skim through, it does look like what were initially rather banal dreams do seem to get worse and worse and worse over a period of months. But then that leads up to that very last entry where it describes a dream where the person writing in the journal seems to have been filled with terror that they were being offered a bargain that they knew was dangerous and perhaps even morally wrong, but they didn't think they could stop themselves from agreeing to it. And yet there was what they just describe as the glimmer of hope. And then the very last entry below that one is, I have to try it.
Strange. It makes me think about a couple of different things. Do you remember Lunaros? The half elf who was the one who owned the Reclaimers Academy, sort of briefly. And he was talking a lot about bad dreams. Oh, I suppose, Zaylene, this was before we met you, because it was before we even went to the academy. But we were thinking that the dreams he was having was some sort of, I suppose, contingent curse. And it may very well have been something similar to that, but now I'm kind of wondering. We were all having bad dreams because we were corrupted by whatever this thing was. And it almost sounded like whoever wrote this journal was having something similar. Only
a little slower. The dreams in this journal take up several nights where the stuff we were having problems with was a lot less immediate, or a lot more immediate. And it's almost as though, I wonder, maybe the dreams or the nightmares aren't exactly what we thought they were. We kind of think of them as, well, either in normal cases, just our bad thoughts rolling around, or maybe with the ones that we face, an actual creature. But what if it's actually a form of communication? It sounds like whoever wrote this had encountered someone or something.
Is there any names listed in there at all?
There does not appear to be, because it seems like the author was writing it for their own personal use.
And
You
no
know-
mention of who they were making the bargain with.
No, there's what you see is a lot of shorthand, which is clearly like they know what they're talking about. They're not writing this in a way to try to communicate anything to anyone else, but to just keep a record of their own experiences for their own reference.
Do the sloppy drawings look any more reasonable in context of the text around them?
Perhaps in the context that if this is a dream journal, it's possible they were always doing it immediately upon waking and just kind of still,
Oh,
sloppy in
That-
that regard.
What that said on the last page about that they were offered something, that sounds really familiar to me. I feel like I've heard something very similar recently.
recently or at the Reclaimers Academy?
No. When I was with the Mistress of the Dark, she said something similar.
Was she offering you this terrible bargain?
No. She told me almost like the story that was in that book. That the people were offered this. They had all these problems. There was like this overwhelming peril, and somebody petitioned the spirits for help, and the gift that they gave in return was a solution, but it was also not a solution. It came with a dark power, but in exchange they were supposed to give something back, but they didn't.
Yeah, to clarify a little bit, I think your impression was that the power was not inherently bad, but that what turned it bad was their refusal to pay the cost.
Right.
It was power with a deferred cost that must eventually be paid, and a refusal to do so is what seems to be the issue.
Like when they offer you something and they're like, okay, but you have to do this, and then you get the thing and you're like, yeah, I don't feel like it anymore. That it sounds very similar to what is on that last page, that they were offered something and they didn't know if they wanted to do it, and then they're like, okay, I have to do it.
Were they also being tormented? It sounds as though whoever wrote this was being bothered considerably.
What's who being tormented?
Well, the ones you were talking about, the story that you were being told.
I think the story that she told me was the same story that's in the book,
Okay.
and those people were being tormented.
She means the children's book, not
Yeah,
this
the-
journal book.
The book
Oh.
that we already read.
Right.
Back.
I thought you meant the story that
No,
she told you.
yes, that too. The story that she told me, I feel like it is the same, like a deeper picture of the children's book. But it also sounds like what's on the last page of that journal in your hands.
Hmm.
Like they were offered something and the price seemed kind of steep, but they decided to do it anyway.
Well, doesn't it kind of remind you a little bit of the circlet that Nedria was wearing?
Yeah. Yeah,
But
that
the
was
terrible price
communication
of
too.
that.
Well, it dangled incredible power in front of him and seemed
But
like a
that
good idea at the time.
no, that's not what I mean. Like they were offered something, but they had to give something in return. And when it came time to give something in return, they didn't. And that was what caused the darkness. So that's not like the circlet, unless the circlet was something good before and it became corrupted because they didn't do what they were supposed to do.
Hmm.
I mean, maybe the circlet was a good item before. And the curse has happened because they didn't do what they said.
Well, there's more to it than that. It wasn't just an item. Or isn't just an item. It something spoke to me. And I thought at first maybe it was the item itself. But now I'm starting to think it was, well, whatever's on the other side of the nightmares, I guess.
Maybe whatever is in there that spoke to you is the person who was given that gift that didn't give what they were meant to give in return. And that is the curse.
They didn't sound, well, they didn't really sound like anything. It wasn't really sound, but they didn't seem bothered by being there. It didn't sound like a prisoner begging to be let go. It was more like someone welcoming me in with the promise of more.
But they would be corrupted. The corruption would be the curse, and they wouldn't care. They would be happy being in there and they would want to share their misery with some company.
One of the
Oh.
questions I have, though, is if this is Greg Holmes, then the thing that he was trying to create or the thing that he had to do, you don't think that's sequential, do you?
No,
I mean, I'd hate to think so. Sequential's always been really nice, but
Evan
sequential
kind
must
of
have.
looks around and says, "Well, I mean, there's a lot more of this place to look at. I mean, maybe we'll find more answers."
Can I like lift up the pillow on this bed and like kind of peek under the mattress and everything? Because like
Sure.
it's worked before.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Fine.
So
5 gold pieces for the tooth.
go ahead and make an investigation check for your checking the rest of the room. Because I assume you're not only looking under the pillow.
9.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just kind of like picking up stuff and just looking generally. I'm not looking for anything specific, but
Yeah, I
9.
mean, you don't find, yeah, so you don't, it looks like a relatively tidy little place that was, like things were put away before the person who left was, whoever was last here. They tidied things up before they left, and then it's just sat untouched since then. With the exception of that journal, is the only thing that's really kind of like not tucked away in a spot. It's open on the desk was the only. Everything else looks like it's a place for everything and everything in its place except the journal sitting on the desk.
Did the last entry in the journal look hurried at all, like in Lord of the Rings when they?
No, in fact, if anything, the handwriting was a little bit more like clear. Like a lot of those entries, a bit like the sketches, seem like it's the slightly groggy handwriting of someone who has just woken up and is just trying to capture down their dream before they forget it. But that last entry of "I have to try it" looks, more lucid by comparison.
What if the nightmares that they were having ended up tempting them somehow?
Well, it sounds more hopeful, like they saw a way out or they saw a way to fool it or something.
Yeah, the imagery in the dream, the way he's describing it, it suggests that there is like he's being tempted with something that he is finding himself tempted by, regardless of the fact that he can rationally understand that it seems bad and it would be wrong to do it, and yet he's finding himself tempted, and that's almost the horror of the dream, is that he knows he shouldn't, and yet in the dream he finds himself wanting to do it anyway. But part of that dream also includes there is a beacon of light suggesting that there might be a way.
I want to push a random button on the console.
Okay. Do you just which the one up there by where your token is?
Yeah, just
Okay.
like something that looks interesting to
Yep.
push.
You press it, and there is like from inside the panel, you hear a clunk sound, and then one of the lights on the panel blinks red, and you look at it, and it has a little label that says insufficient power.
That main room that we were in,
Mm-hmm.
it was controls and some mechanical looking bits, but there was no workbench and no tools, right?
Correct.
There's stairs though.
Right, yeah, there's stairs that go up to the telescope level, and then stairs that go down to who knows what.
Yeah.
So there must be a workshop here somewhere, which is more likely where we're going to find out whatever has to happen with sequential.
Well,
It's
I
not on this
feel
floor,
like-
and I don't think
Yeah,
I want to go up.
Yeah, the telescope seems like it's up, but I think
I mean-
kind of like see if I can follow like pipes. It's like I mean it makes sense that it would be down, right?
Yeah,
There's no
but
question that the telescope is up. Like I said, the floor of the next level up, it has big openings in it, so you can look up and see the telescope there. So it's pretty clear that, going up to that level is just telescope access. That's what's up
Okay.
there. So you know that that's what's there. Now, there might be other things that you can't see from this level, but you definitely would see that there's that. Downstairs, you don't know.
Yeah, I don't want to get any closer to that bird's nest.
I'm already down the stairs.
Okay.
Yep.
On our heels.
All right, so everyone's heading downstairs. Let me.
Evan, Nedry.
Yeah, well,
Join
yeah.
us.
If you're all going, I'll just move everyone to that map. Where is?
Nedry, bring the journal.
Here we go.
Well, I'm not letting a
Like-
book out of my sight.
Yeah, it's like you'd leave it behind.
Okay, let me set this up. Now that I know where you're coming through. Let's see. Okay. Sorry, just a little bit of there we go. Because got to have that line of sight and all, or not line of sight, but fog of war, for you can't see the whole map because you're just exploring. Here, let me go ahead and put you on this layer. Okay. Do you see it here on this
Yep.
map? All right.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, so as you are making your way down the stairs, whoops, that's a great big
Evan, oh
Evan.
my gosh.
Yes.
He
You
gruesome.
make your way down the stairs. You find that you are entering what is clearly, a cavern that has been carved out but left unfinished. There are, however, some like continual flame torches left. You see some pipes. The cave continues off to the north a little bit. You also see that to the southwest of where you're coming down, there appears to be a broken pipe that is leaking a pool of glowing green sludge.
I'm gonna approach it, but I'm not gonna like let it touch me.
Okay.
Does it have a smell to it?
It smells very like chemically. It's unpleasant.
Do we have
We have
any?
mending.
The pipe is too big for mending.
Do we have any empty vials still? Like potion bottles or anything like that?
Well, if anybody used their healing potion, they would have an empty bottle.
I don't.
I haven't used mine, so.
What do you think it is?
Oh, I did use mine, so I'm gonna try to scoop a little into this empty potion bottle that I have.
Okay. Make a sleight of hand check to do that with
Right.
without getting it
Without
all over
Very
yourself.
careful.
14.
Okay, I think that you are able to avoid getting too much on yourself, but you still have a little, like the outside of the vial has some on it. So you didn't get any on your hand, but the outside of the vial has a little bit of a layer of it. So you need to figure out what to do with that.
Okay. I think I have some like old clothes that I was originally wearing before I got new clothes.
Okay.
So I'm gonna just like wipe it on an old pair of pants or something that's in my
Okay.
backpack.
All right, so you definitely are able to do that. The liquid is warm, but not hot. Like you wouldn't burn yourself, but it does feel, almost body temperature warmth.
Does it do anything to the fabric? Like as I wipe it off, does it like eat away at it or anything like that?
No, but it does stain.
Okay. I'll save this and maybe sequential will know what it is.
Yeah. So, what are the rest of you doing?
I'm gonna go just a little bit north,
Mm-hmm.
like between these torches, see what's over here.
Yeah, so as you're looking up into that area of this little tunnel, you can see there are certainly areas where there are more of the pipes from above going all the way down through this level to even further down. And you can see that there is an opening to another passageway up to your northeast there. But you also hear a scrabbling sound as you move closer. And very soon you spot that you are surprised by the sudden reveal of some monsters that dig themselves out of little tunnels in the cavern there. And
Oh no.
yeah, right. and
Fantastic.
and we're gonna roll initiative, but also you're
Wow.
surprised.
Eat.
Yeah, so one big one and two little ones of these monsters emerge. They have all sorts of horrible little like slightly tentacle, slightly insect spike things and little bristles on their back and big toothy gaping maws with long tongues. They're pretty awful, as you can see here on the
Ew.
map. And so, yeah. So if everyone gets their initiative roll, obviously need to roll for Evan as well, and for these thingamabobbers. They are in fact Kruthix. You wouldn't know that. Like none of you have seen anything like that before. But I'm just going to call them Kruthix. That's what they are.
What is the gray stuff around the edges of the brown stuff?
It's the wall.
Okay.
Yeah. So like that's the cavern wall. The brown stuff is the ground. The rest of it is wall. Okay. I'm sorry. I am taking just a moment to get all of this set back up. And here we go. Initiative for Evan. And now, this is the challenge of a big dungeon that has multiple different ways that you could theoretically go. Meaning that I don't have everything ready right away. So, you are surprised by something that is taking several minutes to happen. Okay, there we go. Okay. And then, all right. So as these slavering creatures tunnel out of the walls and floor, you can see that they clearly are emerging from tunnels that were already dug, but briefly covered over, kind of like a trapdoor spider. And so now they emerge. They are attacking by surprise. So their surprise round. Zinhorn, you're getting it first because you're the one that kind of came up close enough for them to spring their trap. So this big one charges at you, and it is going to try to stab you with one of its big, sort of pointy praying mantis legs, and it's going to do that twice. And it rolls. Let's see. A 17 and a 13.
Those will both miss.
Those will both miss. So you manage to evade its initial attacks. But then the two little ones both kind of cluster around, and they try to do their own attacks. And now that they are all around you, they're getting advantage on their attacks because these creatures have pack tactics. So, so the first one gets just one attack, gets a 12. The second one gets a 23.
That'll hit.
And so you find one of them jabbing through your greave into your calf, doing 6 piercing damage.
Ouch.
One might call that a grievous wound.
Yes, one might. And so now the proper initiative is in order, and it's still the big one first. So it is going to try again on you there, Zinhorn. And now it gets advantage because it's got its babies with it. So that's a 13 to hit. And then a 16 to hit. So, yeah, it's not having luck. It's didn't have the advantage of being down there by one of the small gaps in your armor. So it's just slashing at you, and you're having to bat its attacks away with your armor. Nedry, you're up.
Oh.
He's going to back up a bit. Actually, might as well step up the stairs just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then draw a teardrop shape that turns slightly green, and he flicks it out towards them. And I'll cast Acid Splash, centering on the big one and
Okay.
catching this one to the side. So
All
they
right.
both have dexterity saving throws.
Okay. So first for the big one, it gets a 13.
It's a fail.
Okay, and then the little one gets a 15.
That is also a fail.
Aha.
So 11 acid damage to
Okay.
each of them.
So the big one is you can see the acid creating big etched scars along its carapace, and eating holes in it in some places, and it snarls in frustration. The little one is just dissolved into mush.
Oh, they don't like acid.
Oh,
Well, the little ones are little. They don't seem like they can take much. Is the key there?
Fair.
But yes, they did not enjoy that at all. So now I deleted the one that had to turn on the tracker, so I have to put that back on there. All right. Okay, so that is that the end of your turn, Nedry?
That is it. Yep.
Okay. Next is Zinhorn. You're right there.
Can I move? Whoops. I was going to show you where I was moving, but I'm in the wrong mode. There we go. Can I move here without taking an opportunity attack or anything?
No, you'll take an opportunity attack from the big one if you do that.
All right. Well, in that case,
If you want to hit both of them with a breath weapon, is your breath weapon a cone? Is that what you're thinking?
yeah, it's a cone. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, you can hit both from there. If you
Okay.
think of it as going, you know what? I'll just allow that. It's fine. Yeah.
Okay. I am going to use my lightning breath.
Yeah, I have already ruled that you can in this circumstance. I think ordinarily you would not be able to in this specific tactical situation. You can this time.
Okay.
All right,
They
dexterity.
have to save versus versus Dex with a
Okay.
DC of 13.
Yeah, the big one just made it with a 13.
So it takes 10 points,
Okay, the little one failed and is
takes 20.
is immediately burned to a crisp. The big one is, made slightly crispier, but it's still up. You can see scorch marks, and then there's now steam and smoke emerging from the little holes that the acid burned in its armor.
Okay.
All right. Anything else for your turn?
Nope.
Okay,
That's my turn.
Zaleen.
I'm going to cast Cause Fear
Okay.
on the big one.
Yeah. Well, that's the only one remaining.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's going to make a wisdom saving throw.
hmm
It gets a 15.
Yeah, that's a success.
Yeah. So yes, you get the feeling that it might be afraid, but it might actually also just, like it doesn't see running away as to its benefit, regardless. Okay. Are you going to move or anything else?
I'm gonna get a little bit closer. I'm
Okay.
gonna move up to here.
Okay. All right. It's Evan's turn. He's gonna 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, he can just get up there. Yeah, he'll attack it with his short sword. Dirty 20 and then a 16. I believe those both hit. Yeah. So that's a total of 14 damage for his 2 attacks, which doesn't quite take it down, but it's clearly very wounded at this point. It can't take much more. It's extremely injured at this point, but it's also fighting to the death because you murdered its babies. Carolina.
I'm gonna cast Mind Sliver.
Mm-hmm.
It's a intelligence 15.
Okay. Intelligence save. Not its best. It gets a 4.
Cool. All right, come on. Why is it not rolling? Roll the thing. Oh my god. Just not wanting to do it. Okay. There we go.
All right, there we go. 5
Alright.
psychic damage. It suddenly seizes and shudders all over, and then just kind of flops down dead.
Ugh, that's gross. But I gotta kill you guys. It's like my first one in forever.
except
Nedry wants to
for
run forward and
yeah.
take a look at the thing. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
sorry.
yeah. Sorry, I deleted the token,
Congratulations.
but you can still obviously look at it in context here. So,
Yeah.
yeah, these creatures, um, like they share some similarities to creatures that you have, I think would be aware of as a gnome, as just burrowing creatures, but they seemed like distorted in some of the same strange, horrifying ways that bird creature outside did. You also notice, though, now that you're kind of have a moment to look around, you can see that lining the walls of this northern part of this little tunnel, you can see a couple of small devices that look broken, like they're little things the size of like a fist, perhaps. But they look damaged, that are just sitting on the ground, spaced around.
Do they look like they've been smashed or worn down or burned or?
Smashed.
Huh.
You can make an investigation check if you want to kind of try to figure out what maybe happened there.
Sure.
Yeah, I'd like to do that.
Is
Well,
Buster still in the
Nedry
tower?
can make with advantage because Arcane
Yeah.
It is sequential. Is that what you asked, Caroline?
Oh, Buster.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, you guys need to tell me if you want anything different. So Nedry, I think your best guess here is that these things were maybe originally intended to be like deterrent devices to keep things from burrowing into this area, but for whatever reason, they developed resistance to it or something, and they came through regardless and broke them.
So these things, at least at one point, were already here, and Gregholm or somebody knew how to keep them away. But maybe the corruption allowed them to overcome it. If you find one of these that's intact, we might want to keep it. Sequential will know what to do with it.
Speaking of sequential, he is still in the tower.
Is there anything down to the south here?
No, I mean there's
No?
like there you see there's some more of these pipes. These little circles are pipes that are coming down from the ceiling, from the level above, and seeming to go all the way down, even further down into the ground.
I'm just trying to figure out like where the walls are.
Okay, I mean they are
Yeah.
where you see them. Yeah, so like if you can see the entirety of this space. So if there's something you cannot see, it is because there is a wall there obstructing it, except for the doorway at the northeast where you haven't gone yet.
Okay. Well, I guess moving on.
Yeah, maybe just keep an eye on the floor to see if there's any disturbed dirt that more of these things might be hiding. There's probably more of them.
Are there like any like little loose rocks or pebbles or anything
I mean, yes.
on? Well, because I just want to like grab a handful of them, maybe toss them like ahead of us on the floor as we go. Like,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you can do that.
Let's see if that draws them out early enough so they don't surprise us.
Hmm. You seem to have already cleared out the ones that are in this area.
There's a door over here.
Nedry, maybe you should let someone else go first, and I'm gonna hit him with cure wounds. Hang on a second. Where's my thing? There's nothing. Ooh, 12 points.
Wow. He's looking much better.
All right. So as you get a little further up there, you reach another area that is clearly like a finished, area with a constructed walls and floor, not just a hollowed out tunnel. And looking around in there, it curves around to the south, but then there are 3 doors. One to the east, one to the west, one to the south.
I'm gonna check out the first one.
Okay.
I'm gonna get up behind Zinhorn and toss pebbles over his shoulder just in case.
Okay. So,
right.
yeah, as you open the door, it is not locked or anything. Um, and, oh, I swear, why does it? Okay. You see in that room there is another access room that seems to have a lot more of these pipes going through it, but some of these pipes seem to have various like valves on them that, you know, things that could actually be adjusted as opposed to just a pipe going from one area to another. So there's some controls and some gauges on them. You happen to notice kind of through this little line of pipes that there does seem to be some kind of a chest, like a storage trunk or something, in the corner on the far side. But you also, across the room from you, sitting on the floor, appears to be a robot hand that looks very similar to Sequential's hand, except that it's sort of standing up on its fingers and doesn't connect to anything else like at the wrist. It's just the hand sitting there.
Hmm.
Do,
Well,
do
this
you
isn't
think that's
dangerous at
the?
all.
Well, do you think that? Well, hands can be dangerous.
Probably getting closer to the workshop, though.
Possibly. I mean, make room for you guys to come in.
Um, does it? So it looks like the wrist end is like standing up. Does it look like there's some kind of like
Like,
connectors coming out?
Yeah, I mean, it looks like there is, you know, sort of sockets and some kind of like mysterious mechanical bits there. It doesn't look broken, but it does look like disconnected. Like this is what Sequential's hand might look like before it was permanently affixed to the rest of his body. But it's
Hey, do you suppose
also
we'll find?
certainly just sitting in the middle of the floor, kind of propped up on its fingers, is a little weird.
Do you suppose we'll find more like sequential?
Possibly. Zaylene, are you joining us? No.
I want to poke at the chest with my rapier just because I don't trust
Okay.
anything in here.
Well, so you can't really get at the chest because the pipes block it. The only way you could squeeze around on the southmost wall would really be the only way to get to it.
So I'm going to take out my spear. Is it a spear or a trident? The freezing drill spear thing.
I mean, it's a spear.
It's a spear.
Yeah.
Okay.
Something
And I'm going to reach out and poke the hand thing.
Okay.
'Cause I'm pretty sure it's going to attack me.
Well, it does, in fact. And it, as soon as you sort of nudge it, it like jerks away like a little spider and then scuttles in your direction and leaps at you. It pretty ineffectually. It ends up doing getting like an 8 for its attack. So you're able to sort of dodge out of the way pretty easily as it tries to leap at you. But then it starts glowing in a strange sort of shimmery way, and all of a sudden it kind of goes psh, and there's like this strange little cloud of a strange little cloud of dust that emerges around it, and as it drifts up towards you, you are going to take 2 necrotic damage, and you are stunned.
Ooh.
And so now we're going to roll initiative.
Wonderful. Man, really sucking on these tonight. Ugh.
Let's see. They got... okay.
I
Rolled
did tell
really
you
low
hands
on
can be
initiative.
dangerous.
Let me know when everyone has their updated initiative. Let's see. Evan would be in there too.
Mine's up.
Okay.
Mine's up.
Time's up.
All right. So, Evan is first, and as he sees it doing that weird stuff, he's going to kind of run over and try to smack at it with his short sword. And he gets a critical hit on his first attack, so that's pretty good.
Evan's the
Yeah.
NPC of the hour here.
So let's see. He's going to get 7 plus. Okay, he gets 8 total damage from that attack. 'Cause the second die roll was just a 1. And then one more attack. See, hacks at it, stabbing at it with his short sword, doing another 9 damage to it. And he, it's like tossed about a little bit, and he's clearly like cracking it and damaging it, but it is not down. All right, Nedry.
Oh, oh,
And it's still kind of skittering around the floor, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But is that glowing cloud still around it, or was that just a
No,
temporary?
that seemed to dissipate quickly, but Zinhorn, had that strange reaction to it.
Okay. But Zinhorn looks like he's stuck.
He's stunned. Like there's a moment where he's just kind of like blinking. He's blinking his eyes kind of dazedly and not reacting to the room very effectively.
Okay, but but it doesn't look like it's threatening him because Evan, or what's his name?
Well,
Evan
I mean,
is taking control.
it did attack Zinhorn, but now Evan has charged in.
Okay. Well, he'll move over to his friend,
Okay.
and yeah, I think the same sort of thing. Trace the symbol for acid and cast acid splash on it.
Okay. All right. So it makes a dexterity saving throw.
Yep. Difficulty 16.
Okay. Got a natural 1, so that's probably not going to do it.
That is not enough. 6 acid.
Okay. It is partly melted, but not completely.
That's it.
All right. Next, Zinhorn, it is your turn, and you find that, like, as you sort of felt this weird, like, strange dust, like, getting in your face, you just, like, you're briefly seeing just stars, like someone hit you in the head, and you're just kind of blinking and feeling very woozy all of a sudden. And you kind of shake your head and clear it, but that was the end of your turn. So you're now no longer affected, but it was your turn to shake off the effect. Okay, Carolina. Zinhorn seems okay now, but that he was not able to take a turn.
Right. I guess, can I squeeze between these two?
Yeah, they will allow
Okay.
you, I would assume.
All right. I'm going to squeeze between them and whack at it with my rapier.
Okay.
Ooh, 26.
That'll certainly hit. Yeah.
Nah. Oh, 7 points of damage.
Yeah. So you sort of briefly pin it to the ground like a bug, but when you retrieve your sword, it it stands back up on its little clanky fingers again. All right, Zaleen. Oh, actually, I will go ahead and say now that she wasn't stunned in quite the same way that Zinhorn ended up. But so as you move into that area and you happen to look up, you can see down into this next room. Why is it doing that? Hang on, sorry. I'm clicking reveal and it's not. There we go. You can see down into that next room that has a lot more stuff in it, but what you also see in there is 3 more of these things that seem like they're getting ready to start scuttling towards you now that there's activity.
Nice, we got company.
Yeah, they're all a little different. In fact, they're not all hands. Some of them seem like other various assemblages of small robot parts that have clumped together in various hermit crab-like ways. Okay, so that Zaleen, it's your turn.
I'm gonna cast Toll the Dead.
Okay, it's a Wisdom saving throw.
Yep.
Okay. It rolled pretty high. It got a dirty 20.
Okay. Then
Um,
nothing.
So boom, but it was too smart for you. This mysterious little robot hand. Okay, it is its turn now, and it is going to attempt to claw at you, Lynn. Gets a natural 1 with its attempt to claw, and then it starts to glow again in a slightly different color.
Oh no.
And as it does that, it starts to vibrate, and then a little, like one of the fingers lifts up, and the tip opens up, and steam starts coming out like a boiling tea kettle, and it just makes a loud whistle, like a boiling teapot. Just there's no damaging effect, but it's kind of annoying. But the other 3 also start crawling towards where you all are. And so 1, 2, 3. And these are tiny creatures, so they can share a square, right? And they're actually, they can all sort of scuttle up in that direction. Hang on. I have to make sure I'm keeping track of which ones they are there. So they are going to, the 3 of them are going to attack, 1 more for Carolina and 2 against Evan. So that's going to be a 12 against you, Carolina.
Nope.
Okay, and then it starts to glow again, and you also see that same little puff of silvery dust. Then you take 3 necrotic damage, and you are also briefly stunned as you just see like stars that disrupt your senses. And then against Evan, 2 of them attack. Let's see, 16. What is his AC? His AC is 13. So yeah, that hits him. The other one also hits. Okay, they roll terribly on all of their claw attacks against the rest of you, but hit Evan. So let's see. 1d4 plus 2. They do 11 damage total with their clawing attacks. Hang on. His total hit. Okay. So he's still doing okay because now that he is officially a party member, like he's got some hit points now. But they also start doing their weird vibrating glow. Okay, that one. 5 and 10. Okay, and so one of them suddenly, like electricity seems to zap all up and down it, and it does another 3 lightning damage to him. And then the other one starts, like one of the other fingers, the tip pops off, and it just like sprays slime that gets like it sprays slime kind of like on itself and in its own little area, and so it has basically just coated itself in like Vaseline or oil or something. Yes, that is what it did. Okay, so that is their turn. That is now Evan's turn again. And he's going to try to finish off that first one. How about this? Chooch, since you're currently not doing anything, how about you run Evan for the
Yeah.
combat?
Sure.
Yeah. If you want to, you should be able to search for like Evan Cresseldown is the
Yeah. I think
NPC name. If you can't find him, let me know. I can send you the link. But I believe I put it in our group Discord
Yeah,
previously, but
I've got him.
great. So yeah, I'll let you just run him, and that way I don't have to keep switching over to that screen and give you something to do.
Right? With 4 baddies.
Yeah, one of them that's already been pretty damaged. The other 3 that are fresh, although all looking kind of janky and half busted.
Cool. So yeah, so since he's up close and personal, it looks like, whatever his melee weapon is.
Short sword? Do you not have the stats?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the stat block. It's just, different than a character sheet. So I'm like
Oh yeah, well so
scanning,
yeah,
Under
short sword
actions.
plus 8 to
scan.
hit.
There we go.
Yeah.
Duh, there it is. Yeah,
Mhm.
short sword and a hand crossbow
Mhm.
with multi attack. Cool. Right on. So yeah, short sword attack. I mean, just the one that's closest.
Mhm.
Yeah, he has multi attack too, so he can actually attack twice.
Yeah, 2 short sword attacks or 2 hand. He can only do 1 hand crossbow attack, but you could do a short sword and
Right.
hand crossbow.
Cool. So that's a 14 to hit.
That hits.
For some reason it whispered it to the DM.
It's fine. That's just how it's going to be set up. But it shows.
4 points of damage.
Okay, so that one is not quite destroyed, but it's
Cool.
it's about to fall apart, but it's still wiggling around.
Swing again. 22 to hit. Oh,
That will definitely do it.
5 points of damage.
Yeah, so that first one is now destroyed. Okay, great. Nedry, you are up. 3 more of these
Okay,
little
so
things.
they don't seem too damaged, although
Well, those 3 remaining haven't taken any damage yet.
okay. Yeah.
Mode of acid once more time.
So I'm gonna target that one that's in front,
Okay.
and the one
Yeah. So
yeah, one of that one and this one.
they're all
basically.
sharing a 5-foot square. So depending on how your acid splash works, you could potentially, I would allow it to target all 3.
Okay, it's choosing 1 or 2 creatures within
Okay,
range.
with
So
2
it's,
creatures, then yeah, you're
Yeah.
picking 2 then. Okay.
Yep. Okay. So deck save.
All right. Dex
16.
save. How about I roll a d20 instead of a d10?
No.
That's a 7 and a 21. So one of them succeeds, the other fails.
So the 7 takes 9, the other takes nothing.
Okay. Yeah, so that one of them is, a little bit melted. Okay.
And they are they small enough you could move through their square? Or do
Not
they
without
occupy?
taking opportunity attacks, but
Right, right.
I don't think they could prevent you from moving, but they would attack you.
Sure, why not? And Nedry can move through companion squares too, right?
Yeah, if they let you.
Although I don't think I actually have the movement to get very far. Sure.
Okay.
Nedry will run through them to the other side.
Okay, you're gonna get 3 opportunity attacks. They only do their claw attack, not their fancy cipher shell effect. 14, 7, and 8.
They all miss.
Well, lucky you. All right. So that would make Zinhorn your turn next. You are not stunned this time.
Okay. I don't like these things. So I can move through Carolina,
Well,
but I'll
yes
take
and no.
opportunity
Like,
attacks.
yeah, like,
right?
yeah. Well, you can move to there. I think there. The trick there is that you have to be squeezed against the wall, and I think if you want to be in that square, you would have to make your attacks at disadvantage.
Right. So I started here.
Mm-hmm.
I can't I can't do my breath weapon past her
No.
without hitting her.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah. Well, so your breath weapon you could do while squeezed against the wall. I mean, you would have
Oh,
disadvantage
okay.
trying to swing a sword, but you could point your face at them.
All right. I'm going to point my face at them
All right.
now that there's none of my friends behind them.
Sure. So 3 dexterity checks, right?
3 dexterity checks.
Okay, that's an 11, a 7, and a dirty 20. So 2 of them are gonna.
So 2 of them take 10 points, 1 of them takes 5.
Okay.
And I'm going to use my bonus action to cast spiritual weapon,
Okay.
and it's hammer time.
Okay, and then I'll get you your hammer. Go ahead and roll the attack for it. Which one are you attacking? There's one that's more damaged than the others.
The one that's more damaged. I rolled a 12.
Unfortunately, it evades that strike. Also, I think your hammer. I'm gonna. It would be sitting on a location of. I need to move your hammer token into a place where I can more easily get it, because I keep having to scroll all the way down on my token list to where it is. Meaning it would have to be kind of like hovering over them. But right now, if I do that on the screen, it would, it wouldn't look right. You know what I mean? It would,
Yeah.
would cover them up. So I'm putting it right here, but that is nonetheless where it's hovering over them.
Okay.
Okay. Carolina, you are able to recover from this stunned effect, but it takes your whole turn to do so. Zaleen. You could probably
I'm
hardly even
going
see what
to-
they're doing. They're all like slamming at the floor.
Yeah. I'm going to move up a little bit
Mhm.
and see if I can see them through Carolina and Evan, and I'm just going to Eldritch Blast
Okay.
2 of them, the first 2.
I'm going to say they have half cover since you're kind of shooting between your friends.
Okay, so disadvantage.
No, you roll the same and they essentially get +2 added to their AC.
Oh, okay.
Okay. The 19 will hit, the 14 will not.
Okay. So that is 3 points of damage.
Okay, so the most injured one is further injured, but not completely destroyed yet. Okay, it is their turn again. I think one of them is chasing after you, Nedry. It's going to try its claw on you again. And it gets, this time, a 22 to hit.
Yep, that hits.
Okay, that's going to do 5 slashing damage. And then as it starts to glow, it, this time, it seems to, like to shiver a little bit, and then it zaps you with some kind of a ray that you're initially like, oh no, what is this? But then you actually feel like pretty good. Like somehow your senses have been temporarily heightened and your next attack would be done with advantage.
Whoa.
Yeah. The other 2, though, one is going to attack Zinhorn and one Carolina. Zinhorn, it gets a 12 against you. I think you're probably fine.
I'm fine.
With the attack anyway, and then with its, as it begins to glow, it creates a different colored little burst of clouds, of gas that gives you 4 poison damage, and I need you to make a Constitution saving throw against poison. Okay, well that's a 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you are currently poisoned.
I do not like these things at all. I took 4. How much damage?
4 poison damage.
4.
Yeah. And then the one attacking you, Carolina, gets a 23 to hit and is going to do 5 slashing damage to you from the claw. And then once again, it does that same stunning effect, Cloud, on you, plus 4 necrotic damage.
You didn't have a chance to do anything.
It's the dice. My apologies. These weird little, robot piece hermit crab things don't like you. It's not my fault. Don't blame me. Evan's turn.
He didn't put him there.
Yeah. So it's Evan's turn. I was getting ready to do it myself, but we have an operator for Evan now.
Yeah,
we're
so
standing by.
There is the one that is much more hurt than the others. And then,
sure, yeah. So yeah, filling the gap.
mhm.
So yeah, I'll hit the injured one. Why not?
Okay, sure.
Well, I'll attack it.
Yeah. So the 18 hits, the 12 does not. So go ahead and roll damage for the.
Yeah, weird. I don't know why it rolled that twice either. Okay, cool. That's good.
Maybe accidentally double click.
Pew!
All right. Okay.
4 points.
Yeah, it is very beat up now, but it is not destroyed. Okay, and then it's hopping back and forth like a little jumping spider and evading your other attack. Nedry.
Okay. Let's see. He's feeling very confident. He's not going to attack anything because he doesn't do that. So his action will be full defense,
Okay.
and then he's going to dart in closer to them,
Mm-hmm.
and then move backward to try to attract their attention.
Okay, you're trying to like prompt the opportunity attacks, but with your dodge action used.
That's right.
Okay, yeah. So they're rolling their opportunity attacks with disadvantage. That's a 13 for one.
It's a miss.
That's a 17 for the other, even with disadvantage.
He'll use shield.
Okay. And then an 8. So yeah, they all 3 miss. Once you use the shield for that middle one.
Yep.
You
And
know-
the little blue glow after using the shield hovers just a little bit as it starts
Yeah,
to recharge.
I think you get the nice visual moment of this thing leaping right at your face and just. Yeah. All right. Zinhorn. You are poisoned, which means ability checks, attack rolls and ability checks and so on currently at disadvantage.
Well, in that case, I'll go for something that doesn't need
Hmm?
that, and I'll do a breath weapon attack.
Okay. Good thing
So-
you're so only 2 of them now are in that one square, but you can certainly get it on those 2 because one of them
All right.
went south to attack Nedry.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, right. So I roll for dexterity.
Right.
So one gets an 18, one gets a 17. So I think they both succeed. But 2
take
lightning damage is enough to destroy the one that was already pretty damaged.
Yay.
So that one is destroyed. The other one is still doing okay.
And my bonus action is spiritual weapon.
And that is still an attack with disadvantage.
I got a 14 for the first roll
If you do better, you'll hit.
and a 16.
Okay. Yeah. So a 14 is enough to hit. It just hits.
All right. I get 10 points of damage.
All right. Nice. That one is now also pretty beat up. Okay. Carolina, you got stunned again, right? So I think you're probably having a moment of thought for yourself of like, this stuff's probably bad for me, right? Whatever this stuff is I keep breathing in doesn't seem good. Okay, Zaleen.
I'm going to cast Sacred Flame
Mm-hmm.
at the most damaged one of the
Okay.
two.
Yeah. It got a 7, so that's certainly not gonna. So is that only 3 damage?
Yup.
Okay, so it is not destroyed, but it is, even further weakened. It is barely sort of toddling around, on its strange, weird assembly of little tiny gears and servos and so on that look like they were various mechanical pieces. Okay, that makes it their turn again. One of them, the most injured one, I think is going to go ahead and slash at Evan. Sure, why not? And gets a 22, so that's going to hit for another 4 slashing damage. And then when it starts to glow, it gets a 5 and does an additional 6 lightning damage. Zap, zap. As it kind of sticks out the finger and does the little static electricity zap, zap on his foot. And then this last one, I think, is going to chase after Nedry. But Zinhorn, you can take 1 opportunity attack.
I will do my spiritual hammer.
Okay. So it is still with disadvantage.
Okay. Hold on, sorry.
That's okay.
It's just not jumping out at me. There it is. All right. Disadvantage.
Yeah.
That's weird. All right.
Okay. I mean, you can just
I
click
roll
it.
2, yeah.
Yeah. You don't have to.
Yeah, 9.
Okay. Yeah. So unfortunately, that misses. Nedry, it gets
And
him. Well, yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean,
it missed. Yeah.
So Nedry, it gets a 19 to try to claw at you.
Is that with disadvantage?
The
Because I dodged.
yeah, no, you're right. So that was not with disadvantage. So let me roll that again. Yeah, that's gonna miss then this time, but it still does its weird little magic glow, and it's gonna do zap you for 1 point of electric lightning damage.
Oh no.
Bzz. And that makes it Evan's turn again.
Yeah. Let's try this again. Swing, swing. Roll, roll. Oh. Where did I put my other tab?
Ah.
Okay.
24.
All right, so it's 24 to hit.
Yeah.
It's not showing up on the D&D Beyond page. It's showing up in
Okay.
the
Yeah.
like the buttons. I guess I could use real dice, but
Mm-hmm.
All right, 8 points to.
Okay. Yeah, that last one is destroyed. Crunch. You spear it to the ground and it stops moving. So you could chase after the other one for your second attack.
Exactly, yeah. 5, 10, 15 feet, not bad.
Mhm.
Ooh,
That one's still
21
pretty
to hit.
healthy. 21 does hit.
And swing 4 points of damage.
All right. There you go. Nedry, your turn again. Here, let me give you the ability to move his token. There you go. You should be able to move his token now, but I moved him for you. So, Nedry, you're up.
Got
Yeah, I think this is working. So he's going to be kind of do the dodge action again and pull back once more.
Okay. It tries to slash at you and gets a 9 to hit.
That misses.
All right. So that is your turn. Zinhorn, you're up.
All out of breath weapon. I'm still poisoned.
Mm-hmm.
Do I have anything that will remove poison? I don't think so. I'm just going to try hitting it again.
Okay. Well, so you're going to have to squeeze past Evan, get into the room.
I need to see.
Well, I mean, how would you attack it if you can't see it? You're around the
Spiritual
corner in
weapon.
the other room. Well, okay, but you're still controlling the spiritual weapon. It doesn't act on its own.
Right. Okay. So I can do that, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah.
But, like you're not using your action that way,
Okay.
right? So a 13 is going to miss either way.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, there's.
But
a
you do
second
still
roll.
have an action because it's only a bonus action to make the
Okay.
spiritual weapon.
So for my action, well, I can move. Can I move there
Yeah,
and then hit it with my spear?
Yeah.
All right. I will do that.
Well, you can attack it with your spear in any case.
I will attack it with my
Yeah.
spear. That's going to miss.
Yeah. So unfortunately, you're just feeling woozy still from that last magic cloud, and it just you're feeling a little dizzy. You can't quite get your aim right. Carolina, you are no longer stunned. You are now free to move about your action.
Ugh, that was rough. It's gonna be hard to see anything because there's two people in the doorway and
Yeah,
that thing is really small.
You see them huddled over there, and like I did with Zaleen, you could theoretically make an attack action, but it would have half cover.
All right. I think they're doing fine because the last time I saw there was like 4 of them and they're not here anymore. So I'm gonna slide over to this wall here.
All right.
And I'm
gonna
gonna
start
poke at
looking
this.
for the treasure while they're still fighting. Sure, why not?
Well, I'm also hidden back here, so
Sure, yeah, no,
less
that's
likely to
fine.
get gassed again.
All right.
Very efficient.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So Zaleen, your turn then.
I'm going to move down into that opening there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna just right here. I'm not gonna go all the way. But now that it's clear, I'm gonna hit it with an Eldritch Blast.
Okay. Make your attack rolls.
Man, no. 9 for the first one.
That's not going to do it. Ah, a 26 is a critical, and that will hit. Yeah.
Yeah.
So go ahead and. So the first one is a 1 is not going to work, but not going to hurt it much. But you get to roll again because it's a critical. Oh man, a 1 and a 3 on the die.
4.
See, this is why in some games I've experimented with having criticals work a little differently to guarantee that they at least do better than a regular hit could do. But and we would need to discuss that. In any case, you do hit it a little bit. It hurts it. It is damaged.
4 is better than 2.
It sure is. And because Nedry has been taunting it, it does chase after him, which I'm going to allow, Evan and Zinhorn to make opportunity attacks.
Happy to. 14.
14 just hits.
7 points.
All right. It's getting pretty rough now. How about you, Zinhorn? You're muted. Here we go.
Ooh.
So crit
Okay.
would be good, but you have to roll a disadvantage, I'm afraid.
Yep.
Roll the crit again. Fine.
God. A
Okay.
natural 20
Oh,
followed by a
wow.
natural 1.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, I think you, there's no critical fumble here. It's just, I think you just are getting winded and you're just really not feeling yourself. And it's just like, you're starting to see cross-eyed a little bit from the exertion.
Yep.
Okay, so Nedry, it is coming after you and it is attacking with disadvantage. That first roll is a 2, so that's probably not going to do it. But then as it starts a little magical glow, you are going to take 2 necrotic damage, and you get the stun cloud this time.
Oh no.
I'm rolling a d10 for these various effects, and I've rolled the 2 for that particular effect like 5 times compared to several of the other numbers that haven't come up at all yet. All right. But that is its attack, so now it's Evan's turn again. Can you finish it off?
This little pesky. All right.
Oh, the critical one.
Nine's not gonna do it.
Yeah. 26 will hit.
26.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a crit? No. Wow, plus 8, so close to a crit. Swing, 4 points.
Okay. Unfortunately, like it's very damaged at this point. It's clearly malfunctioning, but it is still sort of tottering around on its little servos and mechanisms and everything. Zinhorn, you are stunned. Stunned that you got stunned. And that takes your entire turn, but then you are no longer stunned.
Okay.
Zinhorn
That was
wasn't stunned.
Nedry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
But now, Zinhorn, now it is your turn again.
All
You
right.
are still poisoned.
Well, I'm going to move up and try and hit it again
All right.
with my spear.
You got this.
19
That could be good. I
and
mean,
an 11.
okay, an 11 is not good enough, unfortunately. But you can try again
Okay.
with the spiritual weapon.
I'm going to try again with the spiritual weapon.
Yeah, we're looking for 14.
14.
Yeah, 14. Get higher.
Yeah.
All right, 19. So that it looks like that rolled was an unarmed strike roll, but that's,
It's the same +6. Yeah.
Sure. So, okay, you do hit then.
All right. And I will max damage 11.
Nice. You crunch it into the ground with your spiritual hammer, just smashes it flat onto the ground. And,
Yay.
and you are victorious. You have defeated the strange little robot part hermit crab things. And so now that you have the opportunity to look around your current environment in a moment, for a moment, you discover that this seems to be an assembly workshop for automatons, very much like one of your acquaintance. And you
Maybe it's
see that there are 4 different like assembly bays where you could construct them. However, all that is in those bays currently are very incomplete, like starters. Like they're, one has only like some legs from the waist down. Then there's another one that has like an empty chest, like the torso compartment, but with nothing in it, hanging from some chains and everything. And it looks like that they weren't complete before, but it also looks like perhaps some of their parts actually clawed their way off of the assembled pieces and got up to mischief.
Maybe it's a good thing we have sequential tucked away for now.
I'm sure he wants to see this, though.
Well, I know,
Yeah,
but
well, I
until
mean,
we
he
get
would
stuff
have
like
seen it.
settled, who knows? Like he could just like go nuts. Maybe we shouldn't plug him into this thing.
I mean, that is kind of true of all of us.
What's in this chest in front of me?
It's in the box.
You go ahead and open
What's in the
that, I
box?
assume. It's junk.
Yep.
No, but it's also some good stuff. You see a variety of mysterious devices. They look like they do stuff. They are clearly fancy little contraptions and gizmos of the type that you have previously found, but their purposes are not obvious from their visual appearance.
Nedry, I got some gadgety things here if you want to come take a look.
Yep.
Well, I can, but that's really more of Sequential's thing.
Well, can't ask him right now, so
So I'm still poisoned. Does the poison wear off, or
It lasts for an hour.
are
So-
we
we
gonna
need a short rest.
are we gonna stop here and take a long rest? Because
Short rest.
Yeah, we can't take a long rest here. I mean, we can take a short rest
why couldn't we take a long rest here?
because we don't. We
Why would we spend
I
8
don't know.
hours here? It's like
yeah.
There's
we
probably more
haven't-
things crawling around.
Because there's a door at either end that we can secure.
I don't think it's a good idea.
All
And it's
right,
like lunchtime.
then let's
Yeah,
take
like
it.
we haven't. I don't think we've been up that long. I mean, we
Mhm.
literally like woke up and crossed the bridge.
Right, yeah.
Oh, I thought we had been climbing before we crossed the bridge.
I mean,
All
you
right, let's
had
take-
been traveling up through the mountains, but you chose to take a long rest before.
Crossing the bridge. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So a short rest.
Or then I can get all my spells back.
Evan, I think, is looking at the bays and saying, like, is one of these the main terminal? You think?
Is anything labeled main terminal? Anything labeled in
you can,
Gnomish?
you can, if you would like to investigate, you may.
I'll be right back, Lynn.
For people taking the short rest,
Mhm.
you are hearing Lynn play a song. Let the wind howl over the mountain. Let the veil of winter descend. I've a fire within ever burning, and a love that will know no end. And so we're gonna do the Song of Rest. So
Nice.
you can take an extra 1d6 hit points.
Great. I went ahead and had Evan burn 2 of his hit dice, and he's now just 1 down from full. So the spiritual hammer would go away. So some of the you could you obviously have things that you could study in here, but if you're resting, I mean, but you can study any of these things that you like in this area. You have some of those devices. You have all of the equipment here in this laboratory. You also have several doors that you haven't been through yet.
Are any of the valves labeled? Like, are they just valves?
I mean, they have labels. They have labels in a language that you don't recognize.
Well, so if we're taking a short rest, can
Mhm.
I also ritually cast comprehend languages?
I mean,
be
it
right
wouldn't count as part of the short rest, but you could certainly also do that. I mean, it would be in addition. It would be after the short rest or before.
Yeah, another 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So I think there's plenty to keep Nedry occupied at least.
Yeah. I think that you. Let's see. Where did I have this? Okay. Yeah. So the labels that you see with your comprehend languages tell you that various pipes are labeled for steam, purified water, coolant, waste, and sludge. No,
Sludge.
not
I
sludge.
wonder-
Excuse me, slurry. Slurry.
Hmm. I wonder what the green stuff is. So does it look like the slurry one is open or closed?
I mean,
Like,
they
can I tell?
most none of these pipes have like openings, but there are
Well, if they're
valves
valves,
that
I thought. Yeah.
the valve looks like it's open, like so it would not be obstructed at that valve.
So if I close it, I'll try to close it. See what happens.
All right. Make an athletics check because it's
Oof.
just it's stuck. It's a rusty valve that hasn't been moved in a while.
Okay. Okay. Athletics.
Yeah,
Or-
it's stuck.
Mm.
It's rusted.
That's probably for the best anyway. You just see Lynn with two hands and like a foot braced on the pipe, just pulling, but it's not giving.
I'm slightly annoyed that my the fog of war setting that they have on it now doesn't allow me to make it darker than this anymore. So it's like fine as far as what you see, but I can't obscure it as well on the stream anymore. So
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah. So what else are you doing in here? Are you moving on, or tell me? Tell me. I'm giving you lots of things to look at. Tell me what you're looking at.
Well, Lynn opened a box of interesting things, so
Mhm,
Nedry's going to be looking at some of that, trying to
Yeah.
figure it out.
So make an investigation check.
24.
That's pretty good. So here's what you glean. You do not have the same level of complete understanding as you think sequential might, but you can determine that you have found a number of devices, and the general impression you have of each is that you have one that seems designed to create some kind of a lure for a creature. You have one that seems to resemble, you had previously found a pouch of automaton seeds. This seems to have a similar function. You have found something that seems designed to bring something back to you. There is a, I need to open that PDF again. There's something that's focused on some kind of a teleportation travel. There's one that is designed to let you view something that would not normally be visible. And then something that enhances your senses. And again, like you could essentially like attune to any of those to get its full description, but that's, like that's your sense of each, generally just studying them without like accessing the magic directly.
Are there any fun buttons to push over here?
No, as you look around this assembly room, it does seem to be entirely focused on putting the pieces together. Like there doesn't seem to be the same sort of like controls and stuff here. This is more like an auto shop.
Is this a doorway over here?
Yep.
Well, you open it then.
All right. That seems like a good idea.
Nedry will just rummage through this box. This looks interesting. This is interesting. Tossing them into the bag.
All right. And so as you open that door, you see into another room where there's some kind of like a lounge combination workshop living space sort of area. Like there's a couch and an ottoman. There's some desks and stuff that have a bunch of alchemy tools on them. There is like sort of a worn cot that doesn't look quite as comfy as the bed upstairs, but could be used in a pinch if someone was busy. There is also a couple of displays that are somewhat like they resemble the console that was upstairs that talks about like power distribution. And then you also see down into, let me reveal that area too. You see down into another room that seems to be another type of sophisticated workshop. And in particular, although it's not as obvious like on the picture right here, there is a spot on this picture, this machine where it has this red circle on it, that looks like it is like a seat of sorts where a humanoid shaped creature could sit, except that at the back of it, you know, like where you would lean against it, there are a number of different like probes and things that are sticking out of it that would probably be uncomfortable if you didn't have some sort of a socket for those things in your back.
We found
Maybe
the
this is it.
USB port.
Do we have to turn him upside down?
Well, I think we have to have him out first.
Yeah, let's get him out.
All right.
Okay.
What's over in this on the workbench over here? Anything like anything with words on it that I might be able to read?
Sure. There are some charts and schematics and so on. Some of them have diagrams that you can read that seem to. Some of them have vague shapes that look approximately like Warforged parts, but a lot of them seem to be much more complex diagrams that might be interior components that you can't really recognize. But all the text on them, it seems to be written in the same cipher that Sequential's like, you know, that notebook that he had from his creator. Yeah. So are you retrieving Sequential? I mean,
Yeah, I will put the tower down and knock on it with my finger to go inside.
okay. Yeah, so you are able to recover him, and then I mean, so probably it requires more than one of you to like carry him.
I was actually just gonna push him through the big door
Okay.
and then go and retrieve him from the small door, and then when we go outside, he would be big again.
All right. So when you push him through the front door, Tiny, he emerges full sized and immediately collapses onto the ground, you know, face plants. But all of
Sorry,
you watch
Sequential.
though as he lands, you know, unmoving, just you know, just total like ragdoll as he falls forward onto the ground. Once landing, he stands back up and by himself immediately walks over and sits in that big terminal.
Well, I hope this is a good idea.
All
I'm
I'm
sure
gonna
it's
back
fine.
up.
right. So, Sequential. We're flashing back.
Oh yeah.
Although it's unclear to you exactly how much time has passed because you are simultaneously processing things during all this time, but also remembering things that happened before and maybe things that had not yet happened but have since happened, but you weren't present for. You're getting a lot of confusing stuff initially, and so it's been taking you a while trying to process all of this. But what you realize very quickly here is that, like, so we're rewinding back to the point where you cracked the cipher in Greg Holmes' notebook.
Mm-hmm.
And as you started to read all of that, all of, you know, what he had, like, once you knew you could just read it now, it unlocked in your head and you immediately started to read the initial entries about how Greg Holm detected from his original home in the Barrier Mountains, detected an energy surge in the mountains on a mountain peak at the same time that history says that the heroes of legend did what they did. Like once everyone sort of received this message, it became understood how the nature of the universe had changed. But he detected with some of his instruments a strange energy surge at a location in the mountains when that happened. And so he went looking to try to see what was there and found this observatory on a mountain peak with a laboratory beneath, and came to understand that this was a facility built by a man named Rupino and a woman named Ustok. And that is when you found that your brain was suddenly swimming with all sorts of contradictory information, that you were suddenly spinning out of place and you lost any sense of your body. You were no longer standing there in your body reading this book. You are now swimming in this sense of what the book says and the knowledge contained within, but also memories that you had but didn't remember, and gradually you're starting to try to piece together all of this information. And so what you are learning as you are processing all of this, the translated notes, the memories that you are recovering, all of this information, putting this all together, you realize the story. That apparently, from notes left behind in this facility, Rupino and Ustok, because Ustok had foretold a planar catastrophe that would shield or weaken substantially a magical shield around a place called Dinuther, and that they needed to try to understand what was going to happen in order to be prepared for it. And because the shield that they had played a role in creating was in place, they had no way to know any longer what was on the other side. And so they set about building this facility, which was designed to use this telescope to see through the magical shield to the current state of Dinuther inside. But they also knew that depending on what they saw, it might be necessary to destroy it. And they believed they knew how to do that by creating a sort of feedback resonance amplification with this same telescope, enhanced in certain ways. And they believed that it could destroy the entire island and everything on it, but not without damaging. We're talking continent level destruction. It might be possible that some people outside of it would survive. So they were obviously thinking of this as only a last resort, but nonetheless building the capacity. Because as they discussed it, it would be devastating to the people on the prime material plane, but other planes could survive. However, they built much of this facility. They put most of it together. They had it almost ready, but they had not yet completely powered everything up. And at that point, they were forced to flee with only a hastily scribbled note saying Trandonell is here. This is what Gregholm found when he discovered this location. Now, he was very curious about this whole place, and he became convinced through prayer that Empress Solomonia, goddess of light and truth and good, wanted him to find out what this place was and to understand it better. And so he set about restoring this facility as best he could. He learned from the original designs and the schematics. He attempted to complete the machinery that was not yet complete. He had to adapt it and enhance it when necessary using his own skills, because there were occasional missing pieces where the schematics didn't tell him what they wanted, but he had to make a guess at it. But he learned so much. And eventually, he completed the telescope portion. He was aware of the presence of the more weaponized functions, but did not himself complete those. Those are not completed. Those are not finished. But the telescope worked. And by directing it where the original schematics had said, he saw an entire civilization with technology and magic that he could not have possibly dreamed of, even seeing what had been done at this location. And in particular, what captivated him was the strange automatons that they had created, these humanoid artificial constructs that, like, he was very familiar with the idea of magical constructs, because not only was it in some cases relatively commonplace amongst places where magic was strong, but his own relatives had done a lot of work with golems. However, the automatons that these Denutherians seem to have were entirely different. Whereas golems and other constructs are very simple in their function. And whatever you program them to do, that is what they do. They cannot learn, they cannot grow, they will only do what they're told. Whereas these automatons in Denuther seemed to be different, endowed with some spark of life. And he couldn't figure out how those were done. And as much as he kept wanting to study it and learn more and more, and felt divinely encouraged to continue studying, he found that he started to have bad dreams. And they started to get worse and worse and worse. And then one day, somehow, the imagery he was seeing through the telescope, and the imagery he was seeing in his dreams, and the imagery he saw in the various notes and schematics left behind by Rupino, something clicked, and he felt it come upon him almost like a beacon of sunlight from the sky. And he believed in his writings that it was Solomonia granting him divine insight to understand the nature of this ritual that was being done when the Denutherians created these automatons. And further, that it seemed related to the dreams he was having. And not only was it capable of creating these very powerful tools, but also to purify him from these dreams. And eventually, he decided that although he was very scared of it, he decided to perform this ritual, and he created an automaton that at first was just the body, but then as he performed this ritual, he found energy being drawn from some heretofore unknown plane of dream. And this energy passing through him and focused by his own soul, and then passing into the constructed body. And then his creation awoke, and he named it Sequential. And his bad dreams stopped. the ritual, once he knew how to do it, felt extraordinarily powerful, but it was easy. It didn't seem to require the expending of any magical energy. It didn't require any material components other than the receptacle of this spark that he had endowed. It was incredible. And there's no doubt that with the ability to have such powerful magic without cost, it's no question how the technology of this strange island could have advanced so quickly. And he was delighted with his creation and set about training him to assist him with his various experiments and everything. But over time, he began feeling vague tugs of uncertainty, like something was out of balance. And he continued his studies and tried to understand more what had happened, because the idea of magic power without cost, it just doesn't, how could that be? It doesn't seem possible. And eventually, he learned the truth that somewhat in the nature of a fey bargain, but with some kind of a logic gleaned from the plane of dream where this energy came from, there is a contract of sorts buried in the arcane formulae of this ritual. The power is granted, but must be repaid. It is tremendous power when you need it to be repaid. And he gradually realized that if that price were not repaid, the bad dreams would begin to creep back in again, and they would taint the connection he had created between himself and Sequential, and potentially to corrupt Sequential permanently. Instead of this kind, intelligent, curious construct he had created, could become something monstrous. But it seemed clear that repaying this price, he didn't know exactly what that entailed, but if Sequential was the result, it was probably a high price indeed. And he knew that he could essentially return Sequential's spark back to where it came from, and that might do it. But he couldn't bring himself to do that. And so the memory that you now have, Sequential, of the last conversation you had with Greg Holm was him saying that he doesn't know for sure what will happen when he pays the price, but he believes it's quite possible he won't be able to return, ever. But that if you are the legacy he leaves behind, he will see that as a price well paid. And he didn't want to burden you with the knowledge that he had to potentially sacrifice his life, existence, unclear. He didn't want to burden you with that, and so he ordered you to forget this information with the emergency backup of, essentially, unless you just can't let it go. He didn't want to forever deny you the possibility of ever learning what had happened, but he didn't want you to begin the new phase of your life with guilt or survivor's remorse or whatever you might feel. And so he said that he loved you. And then that's all you remember before realizing that you were waiting around. Where had Gregholm gone? He went out for supplies and didn't come back. But now you know that he really went down into the part of the lab where he had told you to never go.
Mm.
And as you become aware of yourself once again in your body there in this workshop, looking at your friends who are looking up at you, you know all of that to be true now. And so presumably you can explain it to them without having to just repeat everything that you just said.
He says nothing. It's like taciturn.
Right.
So if you have questions, I know that was kind of long and a little bit rambly. So if you have questions about that, feel free to ask and I will answer, because essentially now you know the entirety of what was in his notebook that you had, the ciphered one.
Yeah, they'd just be, oh, we made it. No.
I can't keep my eyes open. I'm sorry, guys.
Okay. Well, that's all right. I think that's perhaps a good moment in any case, if you want to have just like a button to finish the scene on sequential. I mean, no pressure. If you're just like,
yeah,
hello.
No. It's just like, just eureka.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, so I think we will pick things back up with the Pocket Protectors again next week when we return for more adventure on so many levels.
So
many
levels.
levels.
Good night, guys.
All right. Good night. All right. Let's see.
Oh.